the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Managing your business can be a minefield. One step in the wrong direction, and it can feel like everything you've worked for is at risk. I always had a vision of building a team, a crew of true professionals that can handle it all, tax, insurance, and investments. Big enough to partner with Encova, but personal enough to protect your interests on the home front. I'm Gary, and this is the Glessner Group.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Under mostly cloudy skies, temperatures are near 35 for the daytime high. We're down to 21 for the overnight low under mostly cloudy conditions. Clouds breaking for limited sunshine for your Thursday, with temperatures in the upper 20s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Guess what today is?
Today is National Chocolate Cake Day.
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake. Chocolate icing.
Give us chocolate cake. It is National Chocolate Cake Day.
Man, who comes up with this stuff?
You and I are going to get so fat.
Chocolate cake is everyone's favorite cake.
And then we have a chocolate cake.
Guess what it is today? National Chocolate Cake Day. Get excited about it. It's going to be wonderful.
It's showtime.
This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe and Brad Leonard behind the board in the producer's chair.
Oh, yes, chocolate cake day. I could use some chocolate cake. That sounds like a pretty good idea. There's an old Bill Cosby bit about how his wife one day said, "You take care of the kids in the morning," and so Bill goes down and gets some breakfast, and the kids say, "Well, we want chocolate cake," and Cosby makes some chocolate cake, and when she comes downstairs, he says, "Well, you know, it's got milk, it's got flour. I mean, it seemed like it was all good stuff." so I made them chocolate cake for breakfast. I could have chocolate cake for breakfast, Biffy. What about you?
I could go for a piece.
Yeah, I would be. I'd be actually pretty happy about that. What's coming up today? Another vaccination clinic on Friday here in the local area, and you can start trying to make an appointment at 8:30 this morning. You will have to have patience. Most of you will not get through. 135 slots available for Ohio, 135 for Marshall County, and you will know that there are going to be thousands of people trying to get in. So please be aware of that. You will be frustrated. And last week, when they did a similar thing, people were just angry as all get out, and they were yelling at me because I was lucky enough to get an appointment. And it's just so. But if you want to give it a try, I'll give you a number here in a minute, and you can call that. 8:30 this morning is when they open that up. Kanawha County judge denied a TRO sought by the teachers' unions on the issue of returning to the classrooms. Brad McElhenney in a minute or two to talk about that. At least one West Virginia delegate thinks rural counties are being shortchanged in getting the COVID vaccines. You know, it's something I've ruminated about as well. It seems to me there is some disparity in the amount of vaccines the different counties are getting, and we will talk about that. Zach Petty, our TV7 meteorologist, is doing a series on his Facebook page about weather words you don't understand or weather words you're curious about. And so Zach and I were talking about that in the last segment. If there are other TV weather words that you don't get, you're wondering what it means, whether it's something as simple as wind chill. Am I concerned with the different kinds of cloud covers? I know stratus and cumulus and cirrus, but then I'll hear him talk about different kinds of cloud covers. Other than that, and that's kind of what I was curious about. Grapple? I never heard of grapple. Heard of scrapple? That's a breakfast food. Oh, I could use breakfast. Well, anyway, I'm sorry. My mind sometimes goes in different directions. A grapple was a word that we talked about last hour. If you have additional weather words or weather terminology you'd like me to pass along to Zach Petty, just text me 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, and I will ask him so he can tell you either in his segment with us tomorrow or on the TV7 Facebook page. The second Trump impeachment trial moves ahead, but an overwhelming number of Republicans have voted to declare it unconstitutional. I actually think they have a point. Some Ohio lawmakers making a bid to raise the Buckeye state minimum wage to $15 an hour. Mary Schuerman will have our report on that. And I shared with you another story that makes me certain our electronic devices are listening to us. I watch Perry Mason every night. Every night. My wife and I watch the old 1950s Perry Mason. We watch an episode or two every evening. That's the Monroe family routine. And I noticed this week that the character Hamilton Berger, the prosecutor, was not in several episodes, nor was he in the credits. And I said to my wife, I wonder why. William Tallman, who plays Hamilton Berger, I wonder why he's not in those episodes. She said, I don't know. And I said, I don't know. And that's it. I didn't bother to look it up, seek it out, find any more information. And then last night I opened up my Google search page, and suddenly, boom, there's a story about why William Tallman is not in several episodes of Perry Mason. Now, that's too specific a story to just have popped up out of nowhere. Somebody was listening to me. Was it Siri? Was it Alexa? Was it one of the other weird devices we have around here? I know that they all tell us they're not listening. I think they are, and I think that goes to prove it. Anyway, those are a few of the things we're dealing with this morning. Weather-wise, it's going to be a basic wintry, gray-looking day today. Not much precipitation. Higher elevations could see a little bit of flurry or sprinkle, no big deal. Up to around 35 for the predicted high. It is currently 30 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Feels like temperature. That's another one of those words that people wonder about. What does a feels like temperature mean? 30 degrees at the airport. Feels like 22. 30 at the airport, 30 at my home studios here in Elm Grove, and 30 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. On this chocolate cake day, we welcome Brad McElhenney in from statewide Metro News. Good morning, Brad.
Howard is great. He feeds us chocolate cake.
See, you remember that. You remember that bit. That's exactly right.
It was a good bit. And so innocent, and then I think about Bill Cosby, and then I get kind of sad.
I wrestle with that. I was thinking about that even earlier this week. I mean, Cosby used to be, in my mind, one of my top 2 or 3 favorite comedians of all time. And frequently on the radio show, just for fun, I'd play a little Cosby clip. I mean, I go back to the 70s and Why Is There Air and some of those literally records. And I loved Cosby. And I've seen him perform several times, most recently in Wheeling after some of the problems arose. And I wrestle with, can I still find his comedy acceptable, even if I don't find him acceptable anymore? And I don't have an answer to that. I don't know. What do you, I mean, are we allowed to laugh at Bill Cosby knowing that he's a bad guy?
I mean, I think so, but I personally can't help but, even if I'm enjoying, if I try to narrow it down to the comedy bit, I can't help but think of what his life was like and what we ultimately know about him, and that diminishes the enjoyment for me. And so, I get you. So I when my kids were little, I taught, occasionally I was on the rotation to teach Sunday school for lower grade children, and there was a lesson about Noah's Ark, and so I brought in and played Noah, which was a classic Bill Cosby routine.
It's the lore, Noah.
What's a cubit? And now I can't help but think, oh, I exposed those small children to the bad man, Bill Cosby, but I had no idea at the time.
I really do wrestle with it. I really do wrestle with it. When he came to town, it was the Capitol Theater. He had already the stories had become big. I don't think he'd actually been charged at that time, but it was major news. He was canceling a lot of events around the country. A lot of people criticized me. We talked about the air. I said, no, I'm going to go see him. I've always wanted to see him. Seen him several times. And boy, I got a lot of flack from listeners telling me I shouldn't be patronized. And I get it. I mean, I really do. I get it. It's just, I don't know. I always found him funny, and I always thought his bits were funny. And God is great. Give us chocolate cake. I mean, it still rings in my ears. And how did that particular bit end? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
He gave the kids chocolate cake. Remember, it begins with his wife saying, I'm going to sleep in, you go down and take care of the kids. And he goes, oh, okay. He didn't want to, but he did. And so he gives them the chocolate cake, and the kids are happy, and they're eating cake, and they're running around. And eventually his wife comes down and says, you gave these kids chocolate cake I can't believe, you get out of here and go back to bed. And the final line of the bit is, which is where I wanted to be to begin with.
I can relate.
At any rate. Let's talk about getting back, not back to bed, but back to school. Teachers unions, AFT, and then I guess the WVEA joined in, is that right? But I know at least the AFT brought legal action, trying to get the return to school mandate from both the governor and the state school board overturned, or at least temporarily put on hold. However, they didn't have any success with that in the Kanawha County courtroom, correct?
Yeah, that is true. And, for quite a while, I thought it could go either way, certainly. And sort of listening to the judge, she explained herself when she finally made the ruling, for almost half an hour. And I thought, she's really thinking about all sides of this and maybe is even internally kind of struggling with what to do. That's a lot to lay on a single person, something that is back to school, which is a greater societal good, all across the state while a pandemic is also going on. And you, because you've got a robe, are the one person who has to decide this. It's a tough thing to do. But this was Kanawha Circuit Judge Carrie Webster, who was in the legislature for a while, maybe a decade ago. I think was Judiciary Chairwoman. I would have thought that politically she would have been attuned to the teachers' unions, but she did not rule with them in this case, and wound up saying what they wanted was, as you referred, a temporary restraining order to delay the return to school, to return to classrooms until, they don't want this to be forever, but until all or most teachers have had a chance to get their second vaccination, the full protection from the coronavirus. And she wound up deciding that that case had not met the standard for the I'm gonna blank on the legal term, but the highest degree of risk. They had not necessarily demonstrated the absolute
irreparable harm.
Yeah, irreparable harm. And so wound up deciding that she was not going to rule against the State Department of Education and the counties, but instead would say the state can go ahead with its plan to have classrooms open again, at least on a lot of counties have elected for the hybrid schedule. I don't know what it would take to prove that irreparable harm. Listening to the entire hearing, which was, almost 2.5 hours, lawyers for AFT West Virginia and the WVEA certainly did their best to describe the current numbers, the outbreaks in schools, to describe, the potential risk. And it's, beyond doing that, I don't know what you do to say this is a risky situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you'll only know if there's irreparable harm after there's been harm. I mean, you could make some guesses, I guess. Too many guesses in that sentence, by the way. The editor's got to correct me on that. But too many guesses, I guess. But, I mean, we don't know what kind of harm will come until we're in class and we discover whether there is or isn't, an increase in COVID among the kids. And, of course, I always point out, Brad, that at least in my mind, we've got to remember, we're not talking just about whether the kids are going to get COVID. We're talking about whether they bring it back home to parents and grandparents, which I think is sometimes overlooked. But Judge Webster said she didn't have enough information to rule in favor of the TRO, so she was not going to do that. Now, Brad, did she address at all, or did the teachers' suit even address at all, the question of the ability of the board to make this decision, to order county school boards to get back to class?
Yeah, that was in the mix yesterday, but she and the lawyers for AFT and WVEA made clear early on that they really wanted to focus on the temporary restraining order, which dealt more specifically with conditions in the classroom. And they all intended to sort of lay aside, and this issue actually is still active. This case isn't really done, but they kind of laid aside the issue of whether the state board and the State Department of Education had the absolute authority over the county boards, which of course are elected by the citizens of those counties. And it did, I mean, having said that, even though they laid it aside, it did come up, and in particular, the lawyer for the state school board made some points about that and said, look, the case law going significantly far back, but also as recently as, if you'll recall, the Nicholas County school situation of a couple of years ago, which had to do with consolidation and funding of new schools and the locations of those schools, that the state board has had the authority. Now, there will be some pushback from the teachers' unions and maybe even some of the counties to say that in specific instances of public health, then the counties would have case law and a legal record that would supersede the state. But they didn't dive into that area of it. That did not become the focal point yesterday, and that is the part of the case that remains open and may still continue to proceed.
Well, as a practical matter, all of the counties now have agreed to return to the classroom on at least a hybrid schedule. Initially, there were, I want to say, 8 or 9 counties that were trying to use their own decision-making process to keep remote for a bit longer. Got down to 3. Those 3 finally gave in, I think, last week, to the state school board mandate. So, as a practical matter, everybody is back in class, and everybody at least with a hybrid, model.
Yeah, the last county not in compliance with the state was Marion, and I listened to their meeting on Friday, and a couple of the board members, 2 or 3 of them, really felt that the state put the squeeze on them and resented it, but they wound up responding to the pressure. But also, I think they really were put over the top by their own county health officer, who told them that more important than the color on the map, meaning the overall spread of coronavirus in the community, is the precautions against it, including wearing masks, cleaning, social distancing, and his advice was that if you could go with the hybrid schedule, and that essentially would cut in-class participation by half on the days that students are there, his view was that would be safe enough to operate. And so anyway, Marion County was the last holdout and finally decided to get in line with the state. And, I don't know if that weakened the case by AFT and WVEA or not. But I mean, I guess I'm going to say the opposite, that when AFT first announced its lawsuit, it invited counties on board with it. And so I think that if Marion County or a couple of others had pushed this in court, it would have strengthened AFT's case to say, look, we're not alone, and these county boards want their own autonomy, are going with the advice of their own local health officers, making that kind of case as well. And that would have been another voice for the judge to hear.
I'm just a layman with no medical knowledge or I just an opinion. It does seem to me that if we're going to go back to school, the hybrid model makes the most sense. By the time you can split the classes into half, it'll be a lot easier to socially distance, assuming that you insist on the wearing of the masks and the cleansing of hands and so on. Social distancing is easier. That seems to work in my mind a whole lot better. I hate the idea of all the classes being back, in full session. I don't know how you can socially distance a large class in a classroom, but I'm sure the schools that are doing that 5 day a week are trying to figure that out. But the blended schedule makes some practical sense to me. But again, I'm just a guy on the radio, so that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, a couple of points about that. Even at that, the lawyer for AFT, Jeffrey Blades, said, he brought up some practical aspects that, maybe you don't think about. But in lower grades, for example, he said, all right, well, what happens when kids are getting ready to go home for the day and you're trying to socially distance, but you've got small children and one of them says, hey, I need help buttoning up my coat. What are you supposed to do? You got to lean right in. You got to get closer than the 6 feet that are advised. Hopefully, both you and the child are wearing your mask, but you never know when the mask may dip. And then,
right.
He said, well, what about at lunchtime where kids are eating in the classroom and they've got their trays and to eat, they've got to lower the mask and one of the kids can't open the little plastic packet of ketchup. Then you got to get right in there and help. So those are things maybe you don't think about when you think about how this would work in practice, and he did a good job of bringing them out. But on the other side, Judge Webster, who also hears child welfare cases, some really sad family situations, she mentioned the support that kids get from the school system and seemed moved by it. Seemed really worried about young, vulnerable students who don't have supportive family situations, who maybe don't really have the access to internet that some of the better off kids do, and therefore could fall behind. That falling behind then could affect their lives in the future, their future earnings, their future opportunities for success, and the loneliness and depression that can come from not being among your classmates and being potentially isolated at home. All of these were things that were weighing on her mind and were factors that she brought out when describing why she had made her decision, why she was trying to achieve that balance.
And I think those are extremely legitimate issues. I mean, there are kids that need I don't know if structure is the right word, but they need to be in a classroom, especially, after having been away for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. They need that. In fact, I know some young students that really have not done well at home, but that needed, as soon as they got back into the classroom, kind of shaped up again in terms of their academics. And others just need the social emotional support and some of the services they can get at the school. So I get that. I mean, it's a tough decision. I guess the bottom line here is probably this is all going to work itself out, assuming we have no problems with, COVID breaking out any place, and I'm going to assume we won't. It's all going to work itself out eventually because more and more teachers are getting vaccinated. We're all getting, vaccinations are coming. At least they're not in nearly as much abundance as I wish they were, but sometime in the near future we should be probably a lot safer than we are now for the kids to get back in school because of the vaccine.
Yeah, what the teachers were asking for was not forever. They were asking, and I don't quite know how you would, as a practical matter, measure this, but they were asking for most teachers to have had the opportunity to have their second dose of vaccine, and that is expected to be, we think, mid-February. But although it should be noted that even when you get that second shot, the idea is you get to wait a week or so for it to really set in, to really achieve what we think is in excess of 90% protection from the coronavirus. But, you know, the question has been, nationally, what really is the supply of vaccine? What can we expect in terms of distribution schedule? So even with that narrowly defined window of, well, how long do we want to put off the return to classrooms, there remain some questions about, well, is that a reasonable assumption that we're looking at mid-February? So, you know,
the big issue still is getting the vaccine. I mean, the governor and the state has done a pretty good job of getting the vaccines we have into the arms of people who need them. And despite the complaining that some folks do about having to call a bunch of times to get their reservation for an appointment and so on, despite all that, it's gone reasonably well. But the bottom line is we still don't have enough vaccines, not even close.
Yeah. So that was one sort of unknown or uncertain factor in yesterday's hearing that gave the judge some pause to say, well, I mean, you say you've got a defined and a limited window, but what is the window? And, you know, to broaden that out, as you described, I think we're all wondering, West Virginia in particular has done a pretty good job of opening up vulnerable categories, of making sure that the vaccine supply is truly used, but Governor Justice, Jim Hoyer, Clay Marsh, the coronavirus response coordinator, all are sort of banging on the table and saying, we really think we could distribute in excess of 100,000 doses a week, but we're really only receiving around 25,000 doses. So, you know, the state may do a better job of clearing out telephone lines so that you're not ringing busy all the time and getting people on waiting lists, but it remains uncertain how quickly we're going to move down those waiting lists and really get to you. And the federal government has described this problem too. New President Biden yesterday announced that the administration wants to buy, 200 million more doses. But then when you get into the details of the story, it sounds like a lot of that won't necessarily be available till summer. That's the way I read it. So, you know, you hate to tell people to be patient, but I don't know that we have any choice.
Well, I think that's what we have to be patient. Nobody wants to be, and I get that, but we have to be patient. It isn't there. You can't have it. I know that some folks got frustrated on Monday when the new Vaccinate website came up, where you could go online and get yourself registered to get a vaccine, because a lot of folks thought they were getting an appointment for a vaccine. And I tried to make it clear ahead of time, this is a registration-only website. And phone calls. You would be on a list, but there is not necessarily a vaccine for you. And folks could be on a list for a long time, especially if you're not in a age or high risk category that's going to get priority. I mean, it could be quite some time before your name comes up on that list, and people are just, you know, I guess like anything else, Brad, you see the light at the end of the tunnel and you're going, okay, let's get there now. I know it's here. A handful of weeks ago, we weren't sure about vaccines. Now they're here. They're coming out. People are getting them. People had their second shot. It's like, okay, let's get it going. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. And it's just not going as fast as people want it to be. So, hey, I wanted to talk about this EDA thing, but I don't have time. So maybe one day later this week we can talk about that, because that's a darn interesting story. Loans that were made and I guess apparently never repaid, and paperwork wasn't kept, and folks can check it out at wvmetronews.com, but I don't have time to get into it right now, so I'll have to do that some other point.
Yeah, it's a real
but I appreciate your
tale,
time
and
today.
if you and listeners are interested, Hoppy's got at least 2 segments on it today.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll check in on Statewide Talk Line beginning right after the 10 o'clock news here on the Watchdog. All right. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate your time today, as always.
Thanks, Howard.
All right. Brad McElhenney from Statewide Metro News on this. The teachers try to get a temporary restraining order against the going back to classroom mandate. Judge Kerry Webster declined to give them the TRO. There are still some open questions there, but I don't know that it'll resolve itself in any kind of a timely fashion. Now, I had meant to do this before 8:30. I'll be honest with you, at this stage of the game, you may not be able to get into the Friday appointment list, but let me just do it anyway. Here in the Upper Ohio Valley, in the Northern Panhandle, Ohio Brook, Wetzel, and Tyler counties have a vaccine clinic set for this Friday at the Marshall County Fairgrounds. And as of 8:30, which is 8 minutes ago, as of 8:30, you could call and try to get an appointment. Now, Mark Ackerman told us yesterday that by 9 o'clock, just give up because they'll be definitely filled by then. And they may well be filled by now, for all I know. 135 Ohio County, 135 Marshall County doses available. And once they get 135 people registered, that's the end of it. But if you do want to try to give a call with patience, because you'll probably get a busy signal and or a ringing signal, and you just may not get through. But if you want to give it a try, Ohio County's number is 234-3798, 234-3798. And Marshall County's number is 221-9910, 221-9910. Again, I will be honest, my best guess is that even by now, they may be full, okay? But if you want to give it a try, give it a try. But please have patience. Please have patience. Okay. Off the text line, Howard, the Marshall County list is already full after 4 minutes. Okay. Well, I tried. Marshall County list is already full, so there you go. And another joke on the phone line, Howard. Start calling at 8:30, everyone said. I called at 8:20. The lines were already busy. Well, yeah, because you called when you weren't supposed to, and other people did too. They weren't going to be answered. So, yeah, all these people trying to get in ahead of time, then they don't answer it until 8:30. This first one must have been from last week. Howard, what a joke. The phone lines were busy from 8:30 till 9:30. Actually, I think, well, they may have been busy, I don't know, but I know last week they were filled up by, let's say Ohio County, I think was like 9:10. And I know Mark Ackerman said yesterday 9 o'clock. And again, I don't think this is Mark talking to me here, but someone does say that the Marshall County already full. And again, that's not surprising. I gave you several warnings earlier this morning. If you wanted to make a phone call, I was going to try to do it one more time before 8:30, and I was talking to Brad, and I didn't. So good luck to you. It'll all work out in the end. It'll all work out in the end. You can still go online to vaccinate.wv.gov and get registered there, or you can call the statewide registration number, which is 833-734-0965 if you're uncomfortable doing an online thing. It's a registration-only system. They'll take your name, your address, your phone number, your email, all that basic information. They will, your age, and then they will take some basic medical information. And then at some point when your group, based on age and medical conditions and so on, is up and there is vaccine available, you will be called. But this is a registration website we're talking about here. This is not an actual appointment scheduling. The appointment scheduling apparently is pretty well over already in Ohio and Marshall County. So, all right, 8:41, 19 till the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. By the way, apparently we've talked an awful lot about Ohio County. I saw an awful lot of complaints about Belmont County and Ohio's vaccine schedules as well. We'll talk a tad about that coming up in a minute or two. But let's get some headlines in here first, and a little bit of sports, and then we'll head into the home stretch.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for
percentage. You might not think that's a correct stat if you've been following this team, but they've been getting hot over three-point range of late and hit 12 of those back on Monday. Will it continue? Well, we'll start to see again on Saturday when the Mountaineers meet the Gators. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Hey, it's Howard Monroe. If you're a sports fan, playoffs have to be among your favorite time of year. I mean, you can't wait to bet the action this weekend. on FanDuel Sportsbook. And if you've never tried FanDuel before, the playoffs are the perfect time to give it a shot, because right now, new users get an exclusive 25-1 odds boost on any team to win during this weekend. That's right, 25-1 odds, any team, any playoff game this weekend. Don't miss out on this exclusive offer. Bet on football all season long on FanDuel. The playoffs are the best time for you to do it. It's very easy to use. FanDuel is intuitive and simple. You get fast withdrawals, great odds boosts, and specials. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use my name, Monroe, in the promo code. You must be 21 or older and present in Pennsylvania or West Virginia. New users only. You must wager on designated boost market. Deposit required. Maximum bonus $125. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And if you have a gambling problem, visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
Find your style with Patriot Lighting from Menards. We carry a great selection of interior lighting products. Check out the Leaf Island Light. Its stylish design will add a modern touch to any kitchen with its satin nickel frame and graphite accents. Just $149.99. The Brooklyn Island Light comes with vintage-style bulbs and has an industrial feel. Right now, it's only $189.99. Save on everything to update your home now at Menards. Price is good through Sunday, January 31st.
Save big money at Menards.
The Storm Tracker 7 team is here to warn you when winter weather will affect your day.
And as we go through the overnight after our coating of snow, we'll wake up tomorrow morning with a few snow flurries.
We are also here to help you make the most of the season. Is it a good day to build a snowman? Should you take the kids sledding? Check out our app before you head out the door.
We're going to bottom out to temperatures in the upper 20s.
With meteorologists Dr. Dave Walker, Zach Petty, and me, Aaron Myler, we've got weather coverage you can count on. 7 News, working for you.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
Frio Stack & Associates auctioneers, realtors, certified appraisers specializing in antiques, business liquidations, multi-parcel land auctions. Frio Stack & Associates is a regional business offering the executor, attorney, agent, and other individuals the most comprehensive and technologically advanced auction and appraisal services available. For information on our service, call our office at 304-233-3168 or email frioauc@aol.com. Frio Stack & Associates sells the earth and everything on it.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Wednesday. Under mostly cloudy skies, temperatures are near 35 for the daytime high. We're down to 21 for the overnight low under mostly cloudy conditions. Clouds breaking for limited sunshine for your Thursday, with temperatures in the upper 20s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
Hi, this is Chris Lawrence from the Metro News News Team. Join us weekdays on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe for the latest regional news around West Virginia, along with news and weather from WTRF-TV and Bill DeFabio on sports. We give you the Ohio Valley's most comprehensive morning news right here on the Watchdog.
It's your turn to talk. From politics to pet peeves, get it off your chest and on the air. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
Oh, 29 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. The wind is at 15 miles an hour right now, which means our feels-like temperature, wind chill, if you will, is 18. So it feels like it's 18 degrees outside. 29 degrees at the airport here at the home studios in Elm Grove and at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Biff, I haven't checked in with you for a while. What's the temperature inside there?
68, but I got the door and the window shut, so that probably made it go up a couple degrees.
Holding the heat in. That's a very wise idea there. Because you were like at 63 or so around this time yesterday morning, so that's good. You're getting warm. You having coffee this morning?
Not yet. I thought about getting it this morning, but I had a little bit of vitamin C earlier, but maybe later on I'll make coffee.
You know what always can warm you up, Biff?
Oh, yeah, I know that. Trust me. It's a
little fireball.
It's there. It is. It is. It is in the drawer as we speak.
I'm just saying, sometimes it's necessary purely for heat purposes only. If you need it, just remember it's there. And if somebody says anything, hey, I just had to warm myself up a little bit. That's all.
Yeah.
I am drinking this morning out of the official Watchdog Morning Show coffee mug. I think this is my second cup this morning. All right, if you watch me on Facebook Live, just watch me lick the side of my mug because it was dripping. So, drinking out of the mug. And thank you for watching on Facebook Live video, by the way. Have a lot of folks checking in today and every day. You can watch us on Facebook Live, on my Facebook page, on the Watchdog Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and at our website, watchdognetwork.com. You can check on all of those ways to watch the video feed if you just kind of want to do, just kind of keep a peek in my case, peek into the home studio. For most of the rest of the gang, just keep an eye on what they're doing inside the Robinson Auto Group studios in downtown Wheeling. And do me a favor, if you're watching us on the Facebook Live video feed, will you like the feed and share it? All right, hit the like button and then the share button, and share it to your timeline, your news feed, so people will. We can spread the wealth, spread the joy of the Watchdog Morning Show. We have talked a lot in the last week or so about people distressed with the COVID vaccination system in West Virginia. Getting a little bit better now because of the statewide registration system, but the call-in to the county system that was used last week and has been used again today has gotten a lot of people frustrated, and they're getting busy signals, and they're getting ring signals, and people, I don't know what folks think. Somebody seems to think there's some conspiracy at work here. There are thousands and thousands of people vying for 135 slots on X number of telephones. I don't know exactly how many physical phone lines they're using at their call centers, but it's not like there are 135 of them. There are probably 5 or 6 at most. So you got thousands of calls coming in, funneling into maybe 4 or 5 phones, and it just means that you get busy signals, you get ringing, and nobody answers it. I mean, it's the way the system works. There's no conspiracy out there. Nobody's trying to keep you from getting a vaccine. There simply aren't enough of them. There are not enough of them, which we have talked about at some length. I still am a little bit suspicious as to why some of the larger counties get so much more. We heard yesterday on Metro News that in Kanawha County, they were hoping to do 4,000 a day, and we have 135 a week here in Ohio County and in Marshall County. My buddy Tom Sussman, who has WMOV radio down in Ravenswood, and some other radio stations down there as well, talked yesterday to a Jackson County delegate about his concerns, the delegate's concerns, over whether or not, as I have been wondering, there's fair distribution of these vaccines going anywhere. Steve Westfall is from from Jackson County. Steve Westfall of Jackson County, and he talked to my buddy Tom Sussman, buddy and former partner Tom Sussman, at WMOV Radio in Ravenswood, and he says that he knows we're not getting enough vaccines into the state, but he also thinks that the rural areas, Jackson County he represents and some others, are being shortchanged. He says it's a problem we're not getting it in Jackson County as much as we should. They tell us we're not getting from the federal government what we need, and that's true. But he says, but is the distribution right? And again, I raise that question as well. How can Kanawha County I acknowledge it's a bigger geographical area and so on, but still, how can it be that we have in Ohio County 135 a week and 4,000 a day, according to the Metro News story yesterday, in Kanawha County? So I think Delegate Westfall raises a question of some value. And I do want to point out that Ohio's having somewhat the same problems. I came across a number of Facebook, that's what I'm looking for here, not posts, but conversations, I guess, about the Belmont County and Ohio's line of things. One person said, "Are you satisfied with Belmont County's health department ability to schedule COVID vaccine injections and ability to keep us informed? I don't know if my request to be added to the list has been received or not. How can we know?" And that prompted a long debate on Facebook about, "It's right, they're not telling us what's going on." And maybe they're not, I don't know. Again, it's very frustrating trying to handle something quite that big. Senator Manchin said that he talked with the Biden administration, and of course the Biden administration has said yesterday that they're going to increase the vaccine supply significantly. Senator Manchin says the announcement by the Biden administration shows help is on the way, but I think we're still a far cry from where we need to be. Mr. Wright, I've only got a minute, but I'll squeeze you in here, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, 1 minute. We're good. Yeah, trying to call again for my mom this morning. I got through at 8:32, and it rang so long, nobody picked up, and it cut me off again. And you said somebody texted in earlier and said Marshall County was out already at 4 minutes into it. I don't think there's any way they had 135 people registered at 4 minutes. So there's probably, like you said, a conspiracy where people were giving it to friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
in 2
Gotcha,
minutes
Mr.
and
Wright.
nobody
Thanks a
answers
lot.
the phone? Are you kidding me?
Well, I'm gathering they did answer the phone, and by the time you got around to it, the phone had already been taken care of. But could be a conspiracy. They're all out to get us.
I think the next time
I got to
you
run.
have
Thanks for your call. Oops, I guess we let him go. Sorry, but we talked to Howard about it this week. We talked to Mark Akron about it this week from Marshall County. Guys, it's a mathematical function. But I get it. There's a conspiracy out there. They're trying to keep us all from getting our vaccine. I got to go. See you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Back with me, Biffy.
I'm back for a Thursday.
We'll keep on doing it until we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Oh, you betcha, baby.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Broke its promise to have several.
All right, Biffy. I should have tried to squeeze him in sooner. I hate to cut him off, but I was out of time. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. I'll be down for the meeting today, so I'll probably see you a little bit. I guess I'll wear my parka. So I can. Yeah, we'll find out. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Otherwise, I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Times and keeping social distance. In the period they looked at, 191 students and staff tested positive for COVID, but they only connected 7 of those cases to the spread of disease at school.
Health officials warn that extracurricular activities, especially indoor sports, remain risky and could lead to the spread of the virus. The UK joining the ranks of countries recording 100,000 COVID deaths now. It's cleanup day in Alabama following that deadly rare winter tornado near Birmingham. Snow and ice pelted the upper Midwest on Tuesday. And in the San Francisco Bay,